Minor. B7. D. A. C. G. A minor. B7. Hotel California was a mysterious sounding song, wasn't it? And the meaning of the words and all that. It's a place you can check in, but you can't check out. And that's kind of a metaphor for religions, various religions. And today I'm going to promote kind of an updated version of this article that you can get downloaded for free. It's called Nicolaitanes. I spelled it with a K because that's the actual word. It's a Greek prefix, Nico. And laitane, or laity, it means people. Nico means to conquer. And it's a Greek concept. But Yahusha mentions it in Revelation. And he hates the Nicolaitanes. What were they up to? They were lording over the people. They were conquering the people. And they were dominating them, making them do stuff that basically was lording over the people through strongholds, teaching them to do fake stuff and adopt paganism. And the opening definition here is Nicolaitanes. This is from a dictionary. The meaning of the name, victors over the people, or rulers over the world, suggests to some of these authors that the Nicolaitanes were among those who maintained that there must be a religious hierarchy of men, principalities and powers, in other words. But we have direct access. Yahusha said, if you abide in my word, not the philosophies of men and teachings of men, but if you abide in my word, then you're truly my pupils. And you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free from these Nicolaitans and all these doctrines of men. See, that's what's happened to us. When you open the second page and third page, you see all these different sects of religions. You've got Hinduism. One of the most funny ones was Scientology, and that was wild. And but all these other things. I mean, you've got Supreme Sikh leaders, Supreme Lutheran leaders, Supreme Buddhist leaders. And it talks about some of the other stuff that they do, like Buddhist prayer beads, and Supreme Hindu leader, Supreme Anglican Catholic leader, and Supreme Eastern Orthodox leader, the Supreme Roman Catholic Magisterium leader, and it just goes on and on. There's Islamic imams, and there's a Supreme Judaism leader as well. They have all their traditions as well. They're all hooked up with some kind of a hierarchy, and they dominate. And as these men that hold these positions, as they die, they're replaced by others just like them. So these names in this article are going to keep changing. The names of the men that I've mentioned in here, they're going to keep changing over time because, like this last pope that just died, he basically just got sick, and somebody else had to take his place. Here's some other stuff that I wanted to show you that I have fun with. I look around and I see these old things that I used to be inspired by before I met Yahusha. And I was a musician. I played in groups, and this was a couple of a band that I remember, and it's got paganism right in the face of it. The Elysian Field. Sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? Well, the Elysian Field is a Greek heaven myth. It's some kind of a teaching of men. Some people believe it still exists, I guess. But the Stoics were the Greek philosophers, and they took over, basically. In Alexandria, Egypt. Alexandria is a Greek name of a man. It was a city in Egypt. And that's where Christianity was born. It was born to these philosophers who had just readapted paganism. And people don't know about that. You know, they don't realize that the very word Christianity, well, it isn't Christianity, but it's Christian, and it's Greek. And it's defined as a follower of Christ. Now, but what it meant then was something else. It meant an idiot. That they used it to call the first Natsarim in Antioch idiots. They used the word Christianus. People don't know this. They just adopt new concepts and definitions. And I know these guys. This is Marvin Maxwell, the drummer. And over here is Jim Settle. He's the bass player. And this is the guitarist, Frank Bugbee. And as far as I know, they're all still alive. But these were, I was a teenager. I'm 70, going on 76 right now. And when I was a teenager, these guys were contemporary musicians with me. They put out an album. I'd like to talk more to you about some of these things. But get this downloaded from Torazone.net. It's free, and it's updated, so you're going to be seeing the same old names of dead people. But like I say in the track, that these names change, but the positions that they hold dominate people's minds, and they control them. You know, it's like you can check in, but you can't check out. And they try to put you in a box. The Natsarim are not in a box. We're not religious. How do you define somebody that's religious? Well, here's a good example. Scripture. You go to Scripture and you find Acts 17. And Paul was basically arrested in Acts 17. And he was taken before the Areopagus, which was over 400 nobles who were educated men, very powerful men, and they dragged him in there under arrest to find out what he was talking about, because he was talking about somebody raised from the dead, and they wanted to hear about it. So here's what I want to read to you from that chapter real quick. Paul said, "Men of Athens, I see that you're very pious in every way." Pious is the word religious in most translations. "For passing through and observing the objects of your worship, I even found an altar with this inscription: to the unknown mighty one. Not knowing then whom you worship, I make him known to you. Yahuwah, who made the world and all that is in it, this one being, master of heaven and earth," that's heaven and earth, "does not dwell in dwellings made with hands, nor is he served with men's hands, as if he needed anything, himself giving to all life and breath and all else. And he has made from one blood every nation." So that just unhinges racists. We're all one blood. It goes on and on and on. And you can read this in Acts 17. And I recommend this translation. People ask me all the time, "What are you reading from?" It's the BYNV. It doesn't use the fake names. Read the preface of your scripture. They've tricked you. Oh, and there was another one, Colossians chapter 2. verse 8, I believe it is. Let's look at that. Because this is on the topic of people who try to control you with their teachings. See, I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just showing you Scripture. Hopefully you'll understand it and listen to it. Now, this is chapter 2 of Colossians, verse 8. See to it that no one makes a prey of you through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, according to the elementary things of the world, and not according to Mashiach. So what were they thinking about? Well, they were thinking about things like Stoicism, the Stoics, the Greek Stoics. This was a big stumbling block, and it still is. Psychiatry and philosophy. These are sciences taught in universities right now. And comparative religions taught by people that don't know who Yahuwah is. Like those people at the Areopagus that Paul was talking to. To the unknown mighty one, the one that you don't know. Let me tell you who he is. Yahuwah. That's who he is. And I want to emphasize, don't forget this. Get this book, get this track called Nicolaitanes from Torazone.net. It's free. You can download it. And there was another thing I wanted to bring up in this video. What was it? It's right here. The Olympic Games. Let me switch this over so you can see my screen, okay? And that way you'll be able to kind of get a picture of what I'm referring to here. Hold on. This is the screen that I was referring to that has some images on it and some words that you can read along with. The Olympic Games. Is that men's philosophies? Oh yeah. And what's it for? Well, it's actually idolatry. What's that guy doing with that fire? Well, fire represented the presence of the deity that they worshiped, the sun. And in fact, this particular one was Zeus. That's who they worshipped in Greece. And they had these games, and they brought the presence of the deity to the site where the games were held, and they still do it around the world today. The traditions are the strongholds. That's what's happening. The Olympic Games are a pagan format to worship the sun as the Greek deity Zeus. The torch is lit by the rays of the sun using a parabolic mirror on Mount Olympus, and the flame is believed to be the living presence of the deity. It is ceremoniously carried by honored torchbearers to the site of the games to light an altar, a cauldron, so the deity can be there to witness the games. The word Jesus is recent. It's a 17th century thing. And it's spelled Jezus in some European nations, and is a name devised to supplant the one and only name, Yahusha. Concordance number H3091. Now that's the actual name of your Messiah, and it means I am your deliverer. Yah, I am. Yahu, I am your. Shah, deliverer. That's a suffix, Shah. Yahusha indwells his branches. That's the word Natsarim in the Hebrew. See, when he said, I am the vine and you are the branches, he was saying the word Natsarim, the branches of his teachings. And they know him, and they guard his commands. Idolatry is not pleasing to him. See, our eyes are open because he indwells us, and we see what he sees, because he shares his mind with us. The mind of the Spirit, which is Yahushua indwelling us. The mind of the flesh does not perceive these things. It can't, nor does it care. It doesn't even want to obey. But the mind of the Spirit, it enables you to understand and obey. The other thing I wanted to really quickly mention is this. What is the eternal covenant? The eternal covenant is the Ten Commandments, the commands that were given at Sinai. Our purpose for being created is to be a companion to Yahuwah and become like him. And the covenant trains us in how to fulfill that purpose. At Revelation 11:19, the ark of the covenant is seen in Shamayim, within the temple of Yahuwah. So the ark is safe, and so is the marriage covenant written in stone by the finger of Elohim. The goal of those words is to be instructed. We are to be instructed in how to love Yahuwah. The first four teach you to love Yahuwah. And the last six, how to love one another. It is the eternal covenant. The first commandment is, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Have no other before my face. That's pretty cool. He introduced his name to you. It's written on this stone behind me, on that Los Lunas stone, in Hebrew. That's the Ten Commandments in Hebrew. And it was here in New Mexico, Los Lunas, New Mexico. And those are the Ten Commandments left on there about 1000 BC, about 3,000 years ago, by some settlement or some people that were sent over on ships by Solomon, and they inscribed them on there because Deuteronomy 6 orders us to write his commandments on our door frames and on our gates. The gate stone is the gate to the settlement, or the thing that they were told to do, they did. Anyway, the name of Yahuwah, this is a little insight some of you may not know, some may. But there was a man that his name in the first century was Yusuf ben Matithyahu. Then the scholars call him Flavius Josephus. Of course, that wasn't his name, but they call him that. And he wrote that the name of Yahuwah was written in 4 Ebereth vowels. Ebereth is the script of Hebrew. See, the EBR is in the word Hebrew. And there were vowels. They weren't consonants as they're taught. And you see the vowels are speech sounds, written letters that do not involve the teeth, the tongue, the lips, the roof of the mouth, or any stopping of the air. But the vowels are only using the breath and the mouth cavity. That's it. That's what vowels do. But modern Hebrew teachers are saying that they were all consonants, and that's just not true. The letter Aleph is the first letter in Abraham's name, and it's an A. It became the Greek letter Alpha and the Roman A, and it's a vowel. It's always going to be a vowel. There's no letter A that's consonant, because consonants make stops and buzzing and hissing and things like that, and the vowels don't do that. But the name of Yahuwah is 4 vowels. And Flavius, as they call him, Flavius Josephus, we'll call him Yusuf. He claimed to have seen the name written on the golden headpiece worn by the high priest in the 1st century CE. This is when he wrote his book, The Wars of the Yahudim. He mentions these words in there, that he saw this headpiece. And the headpiece itself had been made in the wilderness during the wandering after the Exodus from Mitzrayim, after they came out of Egypt, about the 14th century BCE. And Yusuf described the headpiece in his book, Wars of the Yahudim. These 4 vowels, Yod, He, Ua, He, are pronounced using only the mouth cavity and breath, as are all vowel speech sounds. There is no letter W in any language until the time of Gutenberg, around 1450 CE, who invented the letter from 2 Latin shapes that we see as V's, but they're not really V's because what they represent is the Latin letter U. And that was in the mid-15th century, around 1450. The Ebereth letter retained the same shape as it went into the Greek as the letter upsilon. So there you have it. Upsilon in the Greek is shaped the same as the original Ebereth letter that we call Ua, and other people call Wawa. That's not real. That Wawa is not real. That's something that people have inherited from teachers that didn't quite do enough studying. Not to condemn them, they just don't know. They pronounce like the 3rd book of Scripture that people call Leviticus isn't Leviticus. The books are usually named in the Hebrew by the first word or phrase, like Barashith is the first word in the first book, and it means in the beginning. Barashith means means in, Rosh means beginning or head, and the ITH is the gravity or the suffix indicating how important the beginning was. It was only one beginning, but it was really the beginning, the big one. Anyway, the 3rd book, Leviticus, is the word uikra. 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 The kara part of that word means called or to call. And uikra means and he called. Because the u or ua letter is a connective letter similar to the way we operate with the word and in a sentence. It just means and he called. Uikra. It's the first word that you see in the Hebrew in the 3rd book. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next exciting video. Bye.